The life journey of Sadhguru. Sadhguru was born as Jaggi Vasudev on September 3rd, 1957, in the beautiful city of Mysore in southern India. Mysore was known for its calm atmosphere, greenery, and royal history. It was a peaceful place for a curious child to grow. Jaggi's father worked as a doctor for the Indian Railways. Because of his father's job, the family moved frequently to different towns. But wherever they lived, young Jaggi carried the same personality with him, quiet, curious, and deeply observant. Unlike most children who loved noise and constant play, Jaggi enjoyed sitting quietly in nature. He could spend hours watching ants carry food or birds flying across the sky. Sometimes he simply stared at the clouds. To others, it looked like he was doing nothing, but inside his mind, many questions were forming. Questions about life, questions about existence, questions that most children never think about. Teachers sometimes misunderstood him. They felt he was not interested in school. But Jaggi was not lazy, he was simply fascinated by something deeper than textbooks. Nature was his first teacher. He loved exploring forest, climbing trees, and observing animals. Interestingly, he also had a special curiosity about snakes. While many people were afraid of them, Jaggi studied them calmly and respectfully. He believed fear often comes from not understanding something. These early experiences quietly shaped the mind of a boy who would one day influence millions. But at that time, Jaggi was simply a curious child searching for answers. As Jaggi entered his teenage years and early adulthood, his personality developed in unexpected ways. He loved freedom, he loved adventure, and most of all, he loved motorcycles. Riding a motorcycle gave him a feeling of complete independence. He would ride through long countryside roads, mountains, and forests. Those journeys were not just adventures, they were moments of reflection. Jaggi also attended college and studied English literature at the University of Mysore. However, traditional education never truly excited him. He believed real learning happens through life experience. Instead of focusing only on academics, Jaggi began exploring business opportunities. At a young age, he started a poultry farming business. To everyone's surprise, the business became successful. Soon, he expanded into other ventures such as construction. Financially, he was doing very well. He had freedom, money, and adventure. Many people would consider this a perfect life, but deep inside, Jaggi still felt something missing. There was a question that never left his mind. Is this all life is about? He didn't know it yet, but the answer to that question was waiting for him, and it would come in the most unexpected way. One afternoon in 1982, Jaggi rode his motorcycle to Chamundi Hill. This hill overlooks the city of Mysore. It is a peaceful place where many people go to relax and meditate. Jaggi sat on a rock looking at the city below. Nothing unusual seemed to be happening, but suddenly something extraordinary occurred. Jaggi later described that moment as a complete transformation. He felt as if the boundary between himself and the world had disappeared. The trees, the sky, the earth, everything felt like a part of him. Time seemed to stop. What felt like just a few minutes passed, but when he opened his eyes again, It had actually been more than 4 hours. During that experience, he felt an overwhelming sense of joy and unity. It was not excitement, it was something much deeper. A peaceful clarity about existence itself. After that day, Jaggi realized his life could never be the same again. The businessman and adventurer had discovered something far more important, a deeper understanding of life. After his experience of Chamundi Hill, Jaggi spent months trying to understand what had happened to him. Gradually, he realized that the experience was not meant only for him. He felt a strong desire to help others explore their inner potential. So, he began teaching yoga and meditation. His first class had only 7 students. It was a very small beginning, but the people who attended felt something powerful in his teachings. Jaggi explained spirituality in a practical way. He did not focus on religion or beliefs. Instead, he spoke about inner experience. He taught people how to observe their thoughts, manage their emotions, and connect with their inner energy. As more people experienced positive changes in their lives, the number of students slowly increased. The small classes began growing to larger gatherings. Without planning it, Jaggi was becoming a spiritual teacher. People started calling him Sadhguru, which means uneducated guru or natural teacher. In 1992, Sadhguru founded the Isha Foundation. The foundation was created to share yoga and inner transformation with people around the world. Its main center was established near Coimbatore in southern India. Today, that center is known as the Isha Yoga Center. One of the most famous landmarks, there is the massive Adiyogi Shiva statue. The statue represents Adiyogi, the first yogi who shared the science of yoga with humanity. The Isha Foundation soon expanded its work into many areas. It began organizing meditation programs, rural education projects, and environmental campaigns. Thousands of volunteers joined the mission. What started as a small effort slowly became a global movement. Over the years, Sadhguru's influence spread across the world. He began speaking at major global platforms such as the United Nations and the World Economic Forum. His talks covered topics such as human well being, environment, and inner balance. One of his biggest environmental initiatives is the global movement called Save Soil. He spread awareness. Sadhguru traveled more than 30,000 kilometers across many countries on a motorcycle. His message was simple but powerful. If humanity does not protect the soil, the future of food and life on earth will be in danger. Millions of people joined the campaign worldwide. Sadhguru's life reminds us that sometimes the greatest discoveries happen not outside but within ourselves. Success, money, and achievements are important, but understanding life itself may be even more important. The personal and family life of Sadhguru. Many people around the world know Sadhguru as a spiritual teacher. They see him speaking on big stages, guiding meditation programs, and sharing wisdom about life. But behind the public figure, there is also a personal story, a story about love, family, responsibility, and loss. Today, we will explore a side of Sadhguru that many people are curious about, his personal and family life. Before becoming widely known as a spiritual teacher, Sadhguru lived a very different life. He was born as Jaggi Vasudev in Mysore, India. As a young man, he was adventurous, independent, and energetic. He loved riding motorcycles and traveling long distances through nature. Motorcycle journey gave him a sense of freedom and joy. He also started several business ventures and became financially successful at a young age. But despite his success, Jaggi always valued independence and inner exploration more than material comforts. Those early years shaped his personality, a balance of adventure and introspection. Sadhguru married a woman named Vijay Kumari, whom he lovingly called Viji. Their relationship was unique. According to Sadhguru, Viji was deeply interested in spirituality and meditation. They shared a strong spiritual connection rather than a conventional relationship based only on social expectations. Together, they created a peaceful family environment centered around inner growth and awareness. People who knew them often described Viji as a gentle and devoted person. She supported Sadhguru during the early years when he began teaching yoga and meditation. Those years were not easy. The teachings were still new and their work was just beginning. But Vijay stood by his side with patience and dedication. Sadhguru and Viji had one daughter named Radhe Jaggi. Radhe grew up in a spiritual environment surrounded by meditation and yoga practices. From a young age, she developed a strong interest in Indian classical dance. She later became a respected Bharatanatyam dancer and performer. Bharatanatyam is one of the oldest classical dance forms of India, combining storytelling, rhythm, and expression. Radhe has performed on many prestigious stages and has also been involved in cultural activities connected to the Isha Foundation. Sadhguru has often spoken about the importance of allowing children to explore their own talents rather than forcing them into expectations. He encouraged Radhe to follow her passion for dance. One of the most difficult moments in Sadhguru's personal life came in 1997. His wife Viji passed away during a spiritual gathering. Her passing was deeply emotional for family members and followers. Sadhguru explained that she left the body through a spiritual process known in yogic traditions. However, the event also created questions and discussions among some people outside the community. Despite the emotional loss, Sadhguru continued his work and responsibilities. For him, guiding people toward inner well being remained a lifelong commitment. Loss and grief are experiences every human being faces. Even spiritual teachers are not separate from life's challenges. Although Sadhguru's work often requires traveling around the world, he has maintained a close relationship with his daughter. He has spoken about parenting in a thoughtful way. According to him, the role of a parent is not to control a child's life but to create a supportive environment where the child can grow naturally. Instead of strict rules, he emphasizes awareness and responsibility. His approach reflects the same philosophy he teaches in spirituality. That true growth comes from inner understanding. Many people imagine spiritual teachers living extremely strict and isolated lives. But Sadhguru's lifestyle is quite unique. He enjoys riding motorcycles even today. He is also known for his love of nature, adventure, and travel. His interests include architecture, poetry, and environmental activism. Despite his global influence, he often emphasizes simplicity and inner balance rather than material luxury. The personal life of Sadhguru shows that behind every public figure is a human story. A story of relationships, a story of responsibility, a story of both joy and loss. These experiences shape a person's journey and deepen their understanding of life. Perhaps this is why Sadhguru often says that spirituality is not about escaping life, it is about experiencing life more deeply and consciously. Rumors and controversies around Sadhguru. When a person becomes famous and influential, attention follows. But attention has two sides. One side brings admiration and followers. The other side brings criticism, doubts, and rumors. This is true for many global figures, leaders, scientists, artists, and spiritual teachers. And it is also true for Sadhguru. Over the years, several rumors and controversies have surrounded his life and work. Some people support him deeply, others question him strongly. To understand the full picture, it is important to look at these topics calmly and objectively. Questions about his wife's passing. One of the most widely discussed controversies relates to the death of Sadhguru's wife, Vijay Kumari, also known as Viji. She passed away in 1997 during a spiritual event at the Isha Foundation. Sadhguru explained that her passing happened through a yogic process, sometimes described as Mahasamadhi, where a spiritually advanced person consciously leaves the body. However, some individuals and observers questioned the circumstances. They asked whether the event should have been investigated further. Authorities looked into the matter at the time and no criminal wrongdoing was officially established. Even today, the topic sometimes appears in public discussions and debates online. Environmental concerns. Another area of criticism involves environmental concerns related to the Isha Yoga Center. The center is located near the Velliyangiri Hills, an ecologically sensitive region. Some environmental activists have raised questions about land use and construction in the area. These groups argue that development in such regions must be carefully monitored to protect biodiversity. The foundation has stated that its projects follow legal requirements and environmental guidelines. Supporters also point to the organization's large environmental campaigns, including tree planting initiatives and soil conservation programs. One example is the global campaign called Save Soil, which aims to raise awareness about soil degradation worldwide. Criticism of spiritual claims. Another area of debate relates to Sadhguru's spiritual teachings and claims. Some scientists and skeptics question certain statements about yoga, energy, and mystical experiences. They argue that such ideas should be tested through scientific evidence. On the other hand, supporters say spirituality often deals with inner experiences that cannot always be measured by conventional scientific methods. This debate between science and spirituality has existed for centuries and continues today. Social media debates. In the modern world, Social media often amplifies both admiration and criticism. Sadhguru's videos, talks, and interviews reach millions of people online, but social media also allows critics to analyze and question his statements quickly. As a result, discussions about his views on topics such as health, environment, or culture sometimes become wildly debated online. Understanding public figures. The truth is that almost every influential person in history has faced controversy. Leaders, inventors, and thinkers are often admired by some and criticized by others. Public attention naturally creates different opinions. What matters most is how people evaluate ideas carefully and think independently. Rather than accepting or rejecting something immediately, thoughtful discussion helps society grow. Sadhguru's life has inspired millions of people to explore meditation, self awareness, and environmental responsibility. At the same time, his work has also sparked questions and debates. Both admiration and criticism are part of public life. Understanding both sides helps us see the full picture. The message of a life journey. Every life story leaves behind a lesson. The journey of Sadhguru reminds us that life does not always follow the path we plan. A curious boy observing nature in Mysore, a young man riding motorcycles across long roads, a businessman searching for something deeper. And then one silent moment on a hill changed everything. That moment transformed Jaggi Vasudev into the spiritual teacher the world now known as Sadhguru. His story teaches us something simple but powerful. Sometimes the biggest discoveries in life do not happen outside in the world, they happen inside us. Success, fame, and achievements may come and go. But understanding yourself and understanding life, that may be the greatest journey of all. If this story inspired you and if you enjoy learning English through powerful life journeys like this, subscribe to Echo English because on this channel we explore the lives of extraordinary people while improving our English together.